And welcome into the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire here on our third quarter episode. This segment brought to you by Empower Rental Group, ERG. You deserve a better rental experience. You can visit them at renterg.com. Thanks for joining us, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And welcome back to all the guys, Brandon Davis, Jared Schatz, and Jake Wimberly. As we continue, of course, we got Caleb Hamill in our ear. Can't forget about that. And we're going to continue taking a look at playoffs because they're starting this week. Yesterday, in our last segment, we talked about 3A and 4A. Obviously, we'll continue today with 2A and 1A. And first up, we'll start off with 2A. Of course, this is all season long. We've kind of been, just saying it's Heidelberg and everybody else. But now that we got it on paper, Jake Wimberly, we'll start with you. What do you like out of this 2A bracket and kind of what stands out to you?
Yeah, we'll go with the numbers first. Obviously Heidelberg is going to be right at the top, 22.61% chance to win the entire bracket. Look, the model loves Wesson, and I know a lot of people are going to eye roll at this. They're, 28.45% chance, a little bit more than Heidelberg. They would have to face off at some point in the South. But then after that, it's everybody else. As you said, it's East Webster, 12.38%, Baldwin, 11.52% chance to win the whole thing, North Side, Water Valley, Emmett County, you get down to Lloyd Star, Charleston, and Myrtle. And of course, all of these teams. But to me, this is, yesterday we talked about 3A and how top heavy this, 3A was. I think 2A potentially is even more top heavy. I think there's some good teams here, but at the end of the day, I think there's only a few teams that's going to win this bracket personally.
Yeah, and like I said, Heidelberg, we talked about that, but Wesson, we talked about them throughout the year as well. The Cobra's been having a great season, and if anybody can take down Heidelberg, it might have to be the Cobras. But Brandon Davis, let's throw it to you for your thoughts on 2A.
Yeah, I like the numbers Jake had up there. To me, it's East Webster and Heidelberg. Those are the two teams that I think are probably the cream of the crop. But I do love Wesson, and the reason I like Wesson is because Jeremy Loy's bunch is playing some great football. Junior quarterback BP Robbins, 35 touchdowns on the season, 16 through the air, 19 on the ground. And this is a Wesson team that has only given up around 12 points a ball game on defense. And call me crazy, but I do think that if there is an upset in South State in 3A, Wesson could beat Heidelberg. That's the game that I'd say that could be an upset. I think that's the only team that could beat Heidelberg in the South is Wesson. Lloyd Star kind of slipping a little bit. They've got to go through a tougher road. They would have to play Heidelberg and look like maybe the third round, but I love Wesson and Heidelberg in the South. But in the North, East Webster, they're extremely solid, and then Baldwin as well. But Wesson is a team that could surprise a lot of people in 2A altogether.
So throw it over to Jared Schatz to get your thoughts on the 2A brackets.
I'm laughing because Jake better lock his doors because the Wesson coaches are going to come and say, "Man, we were like the element of surprise here. We weren't excited about being number one as far as what the computer spit out, but because obviously everybody's on Heidelberg and they're all on East Webster and rightfully so. So when Wesson's at the top, those coaches are like, man, we thought we could sneak up on somebody. But anyways, yeah, I'll give you a few games that caught my eye in round one because, again, I'm on Heidelberg and I'm on East Webster. I just think those two are, head and shoulders above everybody else. And Wesson's good. Don't get me wrong. I think they could make a run if things go right. But some of the games that I think really catch my attention in round one, Northside better be very careful with Velma Jackson. They better watch out for Velma Jackson. We've seen Velma Jackson make deep runs the last couple of years. 7-3 Hatley versus 7-2 Myrtle. That's a ball game that could be very, very good in round one. Both teams run it for over 200 yards a ball game. Myrtle throws it a little bit better at over 100 a game. Hatley, they don't really throw it a lot. And I think it's about 50 yards a ball game. So that one looks like a good matchup. Lake and Mize, I think they met in the first round last year and it was ugly, but I think this year it could be a little bit different.
Yeah, a couple of games I'm looking at. Scott Central and Clarkdale. Of course, Scott Central is, they've been, they're a standard in 2A, but Clarkdale, they've kind of been up and down this year. But they have, kind of tailed off here a little bit, but we know what kind of athletes they have there at Clarkdale and Philadelphia and Charleston, as some of us were talking about off the air. Philadelphia took Noxubee to overtime, and so we obviously know what kind of athletes Noxubee has. So Philadelphia and Charleston in round one could be pretty fun as well. But also, I'm looking at we like to look down the road at some key matchups. I'm looking at possibly a Baldwin and a Northside in round two would be just a banger of a matchup there in North Mississippi, as Baldwin, of course, the defending 1A state champ. So they've jumped up, into the 2A classification. And as Jake had on the numbers there, Jake, those two are right next to each other, a Baldwin and a Northside. So that could be a fun one there in the second round.
But there's no doubt. I mean, as you see below East Webster, there's Baldwin, and then there's Northside. As Brecker, talked about looking down the road, you would see that possibly in a round two matchup. And that's another thing about these brackets too. In 2A, 3A, 4A, is you may see a matchup in round two that in a normal setting may be a state championship, a South State, North State type deal. We see some really good teams bow out early in these playoff brackets.
Yeah, or in my case, Kosciuszko and Roosevelt, and got a potential, North State championship, two quality teams there. We're going to see that one this Friday here in Kosciuszko. So that's a quick look at 2A. And hey, we want to remind you about the championships this year. They're going to be in Starkville, that first weekend of Starkville. So make sure if your team gets there that you get your room at the Hilton Garden Inn of Starkville, not too far from Davis Wade Stadium. You don't have a far drive. Of course, you wouldn't have a far drive to the Cotton District or anywhere else, Main Street. So it's a great place to stay. It's where our crew's going to be staying. So make sure that if you're getting to Starkville for the championships, you book your stay at the Hilton Garden Inn of Starkville. Well, we're going to step aside for a break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the 1A, the Ironman football playoffs kicking off this week. Back in a little bit here on the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire.
When your AC goes out, your sink leaks, or your breakers are tripping, you need help fast from someone you can trust. That's why we work hard to have the fastest service times and the most knowledgeable technicians in Central Mississippi. Our promise to you, at your door in under 24. So don't wait days for others to show up. Call Environment Masters for hassle-free plumbing, electrical, and AC. At your door in under 24, because it's not cool to make you wait.
Never settle when building or remodeling your home. You may think you can't afford brick, but you can. For less than $1 a day, you can own a full brick home. The money you save on painting, heating, and cooling costs, along with lower insurance, will put money back in your pocket. Go to CherokeeBrick.com to see how affordable brick really is. Spend less, save more on the look you want. Cherokee Brick. Life's just better with brick.
Genuine Mississippi, grown and raised and crafted, made. Genuine Mississippi.
We will do it again. So again, Cooper Miller on for the win. Kelly, Millsap, kick is up, and it is good! Cooper Miller with the win! Final score, Oak Grove 37, Northwest Rankin 34. OG with the win.
And welcome back in to the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire, where we're taking a look at playoffs. And now we get down to 1A, that Ironman football that we love to talk about. And we'll once again go around the horn and see what we like and what we don't like about the 1A bracket. We'll go to Brandon Davis up first. Brandon, what catches your eye with the smallest classification?
A game that I think is going to be one to keep your eye on is the Fighting Junior Grahams having to go down to Anguilla, South Rolling Fork area. Ethel taking on South Delta in the first round. I think that is a very intriguing ball game. Both teams are 7-3. I do like the strength of schedule that Ethel's had over South Delta, but that's a long ride over in the Delta for for Ethel to have to go down there and take on the Bulldogs of South Delta. But I tell you, if I'm looking at surprise teams, I think really in the North, it's Biggersville and Calhoun City. We'll figure out how that all shakes out. Those two seems to be the cream of the crop. But down in the South, I love Ethel. I just think Junior Graham being a Hall of Fame coach, he can coach those kids up, just like how they're playing football. But watch out for Taylorsville and for Stringer. Stringer, to me, is the surprise. I would not be shocked at all to see Dan Brady's bunch make it out of the South. A player that does not get enough credit is Jaheim Campbell. They got him playing fullback. He does a little bit of everything. 1,900 yards on the season with 29 touchdowns. And this is a Stringer team that's averaging 315 yards on the ground. And I love Stringer. Dan Brady won a state title at Bay Springs. He knows how to coach football. So I could see them making their way out of the South.
Yeah, a lot of good teams there in the South, and I agree with you, Brandon. I think in the North you're looking at Biggersville or Calhoun City, unless Jared Schatz thinks there may be another sleeper there in the North.
No, I think Davis hit it pretty well. I think he really covered 1A very nicely. Ethel South Delta caught my eye as far as a round one ball game. 7-3 Ethel, 7-2 South Delta. Both teams, run the ball very well. South Delta throws it a little bit better. So, look, running the football is cream of the crop for me when you get into the playoffs. But South Delta, when they have to, they can go to the air. You have to be able to throw the football at times in the playoffs, and South Delta has done it a little bit better than Ethel. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm with Davis, man. Like, I would not want to play Taylorsville right now. They started out 0-4. They've reeled off 6 straight wins, and they haven't even been close. I mean, they are destroying everybody. And look, we talked about them early in the year. Taylorsville, one of our greatest programs of all time. And then we're like, man, what's going on with them? They're 0-4. You look up, they're 6-4. And I'm telling you, nobody wants to play this team. I would not be surprised if they make a run and could win the whole thing.
Is it just me, or does it feel like Taylorsville has an easier path to South State than the other side of that bracket? Because if you look at the other teams, you've got Nanawoya, Lumberton, Simmons, Noxapater, Stringer, all in the same bracket headed towards South State. Meanwhile, the toughest team that Taylorsville may have to face outside of a South Delta or Ethel in the second round, Boca Chica on the other side. I mean, this is not a loaded down quadrant. And when you think about what it takes to win a South State championship, is it going to be a easier schedule and a healthier team going through there, or a battle-tested team like you're going to get from the other side that has, like I said, Noxapater, Nanawoya, Lumberton, a Salem team that was winless for the last 3 seasons. It's all of a sudden hosting a playoff game.
How wild is that?
That's a crazy headline,
that's
too.
Awesome, man.
But I really think what's listed as Quadrant 3 through the MHSAA website it's a tough one, and somebody is going to be battle-tested coming out of that one.
Yeah, I'll say don't sleep on Leake County in that quadrant with Taylorsville, because Leake County is a team. Their record doesn't look great, but they are the 2 seed in that Region 5, and they sent Nanawoya to overtime, and they shut out Ethel. And so I've mentioned it on the podcast how when Ethel was going to play them, and they were like 3-5, and Coach Graham told me they're the best 3-5 team I've ever seen. So they got some guys there at Leake County. And to Jared's point about Ethel and South Delta does throw the ball, but Ethel's got some ball hawks back there. This past week against Sebastopol, 3 interceptions for the Ethel Tigers, and our boy Matthew Arnold returned one for a pick 6. So they got some guys that they got some good defense. But yeah, I think Ethel South Delta is very interesting first round matchup. And now we'll go to Jake Wimberly and tell us what the 1s and 0s and the numbers say.
Ones and zeros, when you run this through the model and kind of give you a percentage of a chance for each team in 1A to win the championship. Hollandale Simmons, formerly now Simmons, 28.77% chance to win it. They've only given up 50 points all year. This is a very good football team. Biggersville, 23.01. Calhoun City, same teams we've been talking about, 18.11. You get South Delta, just over 5%. Nanawoya right there as well, the same. Stringer, Boca Chica. You mentioned Taylorsville. They're down here at 0.81%. that. Now, again, the model, as I've always said, that doesn't take into consideration strength of schedule. It doesn't take into consideration and maybe say, if you're on a 4-game winning streak or 5-game, but we'll see how as teams advance, these things continue to churn, as far as percentage of a chance. But Simmons, Biggersville, Calhoun City, South Delta, Nanawaya, that's your top 5.
Yeah, and one thing that happens in 1A that we got to mention is how many teams do we decide they're over and they're making the playoffs? Was it 3 or 4?
Yeah, something like
those
that.
two. I think only 4 teams out of 1A actually missed the playoffs.
Yeah. So you got a few teams that haven't won a game, but just by virtue of there only being 4 teams in a district, they're able to make it by default. So that's just sort of one of the flaws in the system there. Speaking of flawed systems, let's take a look at the MAIS and their playoff games that are coming up this week as they have a few games to play. Of course, some of them don't play this week because they only have 4 teams in some of the regions. But MAIS, looking at games like Simpson Academy and Brookhaven Academy could be a good one. Heritage Academy and Oak Forest. Boy, that's a long trip for somebody. Somebody got to go a long way. And then Kirk Academy and Regents out of Oxford. So, those are some fun games there in the MAIS multi-tiered playoff relegation and promotion system, whatever it is that they have over there in the MAIS. Well, that's a look at the playoffs, but as is every week, people want to know, Brandon Davis, what is on the whiteboard there in the Environment Masters studios. Hassle-free plumbing and electrical and AC. Visit them at environmentmasters.com. I'll look at mine. I wanted to show off the credential wall. That's in my studio this week. I have the one TV game I ever worked for ESPN. I did Louisiana Tech versus UT San Antonio back in November of 19. I was a spotter for the for the crew, Lynn Rollins and crew there. So that's my studio. What you got, Brandon?
Yeah, I want to thank our friends at Environment Masters for continuing to support the whiteboard, and we might have a fight on our hands this week. Last week, it was kind of calm. We did Halloween candy, but as we get into the playoff run, whether it be in college football, high school football, whatever it is, you got to have your snacks and chips. Everybody likes eating chips of some sort, so I thought that maybe this week on the whiteboard should be the best chips. Of course, this is my list, so it is always correct. But I had some honorable mentions. We'll go through these very quickly. In the honorable mention side, at number 3 is barbecue Lays. Can't go wrong with barbecue Lays. Number 2, Fritos Scoops, because those are kind of a very diverse, multi-use chips. You can put chili dips. I know Uncle Breck's a big dip guy, so you can put various types of dips in those and you can enjoy that. Number 1, Cheetos. You got to have Cheetos. The kids love Cheetos. Getting to the actual list, at number 5, regular Lays. I thought I'd just go generic, regular Lays. You can do a lot with those. Number 4 comes in the Ruffles sour cream and cheddar chips. Those are fantastic. Number 3, Doritos, the red bag Doritos, not that Cool Ranch, all that weird stuff that you kids like out there. The regular Doritos. Don't give me that other junk. Number 2, kettle cooked jalapeno chips. You can't get any better than kettle cooked.
Ooh,
Add the jalapeno in there. You're cooking with bacon grease. And finally, the most underrated chip out there, the barbecue Fritos. You can't find them. They're hard to find. Not the chili cheese, the barbecue Fritos. So that is the whiteboard this week. Again, thanks to EnviroMasters. I'm ready for the fight, boys. So bring it on.
Well, let me just say this. I love you, Brandon Davis. And outside of the number 2, the jalapeno kettle cooked chips,
yeah,
this list is awful. I mean,
okay.
where are Funyuns at? There's no Funyuns on the list. There's no sea salt and vinegar chips. There's no pickle chips, and Cheetos as an honorable mention. What?
Well, I'll say this, Jake. I'm not accusing I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I've never done any type of illegal recreational drug, so I couldn't put Funyuns on the list. Salt and vinegar. I'm not that old yet. I mean, I know that's, what's what my grandma, she loved those. Lord rest her soul. But I mean, whatever, man. I mean, yeah, I knew you were going to have a problem with this. I mean, come on.
Recreational drugs is a pre-qualification for Funyuns.
Prove me wrong, man.
All right. I'll say on the jalapeno chips, have y'all had the Miss Vicky's?
That's the one.
they're number
They're
one.
awesome.
They're fantastic.
That's the one.
They're fantastic.
Okay. I got a couple of things, couple thoughts.
Go ahead.
There's no Flamin' Hots. Flamin' Hot Cheetos. There's no Flamin' Hots.
Well, I'm not a teenager, Brick.
That's not on there. You come here. Come to a basketball game here in Italic County. Whether you're going to Kosciuszko or you're going to Ethel, and you know you get nachos, right? The chips you dip in are Flamin' Hots. They're not just regular tortilla chips. So you go get you some Flamin' Hot Cheetos and a thing of cheese, and that's it. That's here in Italic County. I mean, it might be elsewhere too, but I know at the places here in Italic County.
But you're right. The Frito barbecue chips, I have not seen those in forever.
They're hard to find, man. I'm telling you. The chili cheese one, they're in abundance.
They're kind of like the monkeys after the truck wreck down in Jasper County. They just disappeared.
Yeah, I think they finally found the last one today, right?
I'm going to say that the list is thrown out because the best chip in the world didn't make it.
Which one?
Sweet Heat barbecue chips from Golden Flake.
I'll give it to you.
How did you not put those on there? That's the best chip in the world.
Slap my wrist. You got me. You finally got me on something.
Come on, man.
I'll put that on honorable mention. I mean, Golden Flake. How can we forget Golden Flake? That is on me. Dock me a half a day's pay on that, Uncle Breck. I'll give you
as far as I know,
Golden Flake.
Golden Flake doesn't make anything else that's good. Just the Sweet Heat. You ever got like the Golden Flake Doritos? It's like eating concrete. It's not good.
Is Golden Flake even relevant anymore? I mean,
but the Sweet Heat barbecue chips, man. If I see them in a gas station, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
The only problem with Sweet Heat, I'll give them this, is it's the bag's this big. There's this many chips in.
Yeah.
All right, I can tell you guys this. I will never look at Funyuns the same way again.
I don't know that I want to eat Funyuns anymore.
Hey, look.
Davis makes me feel guilty.
Dude, they have Flamin' Hot Funyuns now. You can get Flamin' Hot Funyuns too.
Breck, you're not making the case for it, son. I mean, hey, those the proud people that sponsor and the proud people that create and have Funyuns. If you want to be a sponsor, we'll be glad. I'll eat a bag of Funyuns on the air for you, just to prove that we love you and we love your product. But give us a call. We'll talk about it.
Well, there we go. That's what's on the whiteboard. See, we didn't get in too big of a fight this week about the whiteboard in our Environment Masters studio. Well, that is going to wrap up the third quarter. So coming up in our next few episodes, we're going to be looking at the final week of the regular season for 7A, 6A, and 5A. And, of course, we'll have to make our picks in our state championship pick'em. So for our entire crew, Caleb Hamill, Jake Wimberly, Jared Schatz, Brandon Davis, I'm Breck Riley, signing off here on the Varsity Voices podcast presented by C Spire.